Hello and welcome to this Monday edition of the World Report. Viewers, I'm Arjun Samad Mahindra and let's take a look at what's making headlines around the world today. At least 42 people have died after a bus carrying Umrah pilgrims collided with a diesel tanker near Medina. Many of those who died, viewers, are believed to be Indian nationals, according to local media in Saudi Arabia. Now, the bus was reportedly on its way from Mecca to Medina when the crash, in fact, took place around 1:30 a.m. Indian Standard Time near Mufrihad. Most passengers on the bus were from Hyderabad in Telangana, Khalij Times has reported. The group was reportedly returning from Mecca after completing their rituals and, in fact, was en route Medina at the time of the accident. That's what we are picking up. According to a Gulf News report, meanwhile, many passengers were reportedly asleep at the time of the incident, leaving them little to no chance to escape when, in fact, the bus burst into flames after this collision. Rescue teams said the bus was completely charred, making identification of victims extremely challenging. Reports are also claiming that one person, Mohd Abdul Shoiab, has in fact survived and is currently hospitalized. However, his condition is unknown at the moment. We get you some reactions followed by a report by my colleague, Umar Sudhir.
भाई अस्सलाम वालेकुम व रहमतुल्लाहि व बरकातहू। भाई इंफॉर्मेशन देना ये है कि मैं मक्के से मदीने को बस आ रही थी। भाई मक्के से मदीने को ज़ियारत करने के लिए बस आ रही थी, वो बस पूरी जल गई। उसमें से एक आदमी, एक ड्राइवर बच गया। भाई मुनव्वर बल्कि नाम बता रहा, हैदराबाद के लोग हैं पूरे उसमें। अगर कोई भी है अपने घरों को मालूम कर लो भाई थोड़ा, ठीक है। मैं भी अभी बस को देखा, मैं तकलीफ मेरे को बर्दाश्त नहीं हो रही भाई। थोड़ा मैं वो वीडियो निकाला, लेकिन एक आदमी मेरे को नंबर दिया, मैं फोन करके उन लोगों को इत्तला कर रहा हूँ, ठीक है भाई। थोड़ा कौन कौन अपने आदमियां हैं थोड़ा देख लो भाई थोड़ा, ठीक है। इससे ज्यादा तो कुछ नहीं कर सकता भाई, दुआ करो लोगों के बारगाह में।
So this is Al Makkah Tours and Travels, a private agency in the Asif Nagar area of Hyderabad, an area that's called Jarrah, and that is where these people are booked to travel on this Umrah journey. And what we understand is that it's about 8 days since they left Hyderabad and went on this pilgrimage. There are 46 people who have been listed in that list that has been shared with us and by the police. And what it seems to suggest is that the person who's been, numbered 44 in that particular list, he's the only one who has managed to jump out of the bus and has survived the particular accident. They had, in fact, first visited Makkah and subsequently were going towards Medina. And when 25 kilometers short of that is when they seem to have been a collision with a diesel tanker. That led to the bus getting completely, gutted, bursting into flames, and people had hardly any chance to kind of escape from the bus. Presumably, it would have been a bus from where all the doors being sealed and no time at all for escape. We have seen, of course, such tragedies unfolding in Telangana just short while ago, and also a few years ago, buses bursting into flames after some kind of a collision. In this case, it's a diesel tanker that has resulted in this. So three other things that I must point out. 46 people are said to have been on the bus. One person who is a 25-year-old said to have jumped out of the bus. He is convalescing in hospital. The government has set up control rooms here, and of course there are control rooms that have been set up in Jeddah and Riyadh as well, and the consulate there as well as the Saudi embassy and the Ministry of External Affairs are coordinating these entire operation. Many of the family members are, of course, come to the agency, the travel agency, to try to find out what happened, and very, very agitated and very anguished as well. And some of them have already set off to the airport to travel to Saudi Arabia, because presumably, if there have been a big number of casualties that we are talking about, the fear is that 45 of those 46 people may have died.
As we shift our focus back to Southeast Asia, where in her most explosive and revealing interview since being forced from power, former Bangladesh Prime Minister Sheikh Hasina has finally broken his silence from a secret shelter in New Delhi. In fact, launching a searing attack on the Muhammad Yunus-led interim regime, and also warning that Bangladesh is in fact sliding into authoritarian rule and extremist influence with an alignment with terror groups. Now, speaking to NDTV's Aditya Raj call, Hasina recounts the chaos of her August 5 ouster, the destruction of her family's historic home, and what she describes as a state-sanctioned assault on minorities and democracy alike. Now, from exile in India, she lays out her battle for political legitimacy and her sheer vision for Bangladesh's return to democratic stability. Meanwhile, this next report, viewers, traces the very timeline, the all-important timeline between Hasina's ouster on the 5th of August last year and the ICT's underway hearing in Dhaka. Take a look.
The turning point comes fast. Students' protests sweep across the country. Anger over job quotas becomes a national revolt. Security forces launch a sweeping crackdown. A UN report later estimates up to 1,400 people killed. Allegations Hasina denies. Amid growing unrest, Sheikh Hasina flees to India. Her 15-year rule ends in a single chaotic month. Just days later, a caretaker administration led by Muhammad Yunus takes control. The Awami League is banned under anti-terror laws. Investigators gather testimony, videos and official records. Prosecutors prepare charges of murder, conspiracy and ordering violent crackdowns. Cut to June 2025. The International Crimes Tribunal opens Hasina's trial in absentia. Her former Home Minister and police chief also face charges. Prosecutors seek the death penalty, calling the crackdown systematic and deadly. Hasina tells foreign media the trial is political and refuses to return. Come November, and Dhaka grows uneasy as verdict day nears. Pre-dawn blasts hit banks, buses and offices. Security forces blame sabotage attempts aimed at influencing the trial. The now banned Awami League declares a nationwide lockdown. Shops shutter, buses disappear, schools shift to online classes. The capital waits in silence. Before sunrise, Dhaka goes under a security ring on November 17th. Border guards deploy across Gopalganj and the tribunal zone. Armored vehicles seal entry points. The chief prosecutor confirms the verdict will be broadcast live. After 15 turbulent months, Bangladesh arrives at its most decisive moment.
Well, over in Washington, viewers, US President Donald Trump has said on Sunday that the country may be having discussions with Venezuelan President Nicolas Maduro. Now, this diplomatic revelation comes right after, very importantly here, the Trump administration carried out multiple strikes on vessels suspected of transporting drugs to the country. Now, although Trump did not offer any details about this possible discussion with Maduro, but he said Venezuela would like to talk. Now, this counter-drag operation has been seen as an increasing pressure tactic against Maduro by Trump. Here's more.
It allows us to do that, but we haven't said we're going to do that. And we may be discussing, we may be having some discussions with Maduro, and we'll see how that turns out. They would like to talk.
Stay with the region where the world's largest aircraft carrier, yes, I'm talking about the USS Gerald R. Ford, viewers, has arrived in the Caribbean Sea. The arrival of the US aircraft carrier in the Caribbean has fueled the speculation that Washington is indeed targeting Venezuelan President Nicolas Maduro as part of what the Trump administration itself calls an anti-narco-terrorism campaign. Now, the carrier strike group will join joint forces already in the region to defeat and dismantle criminal networks, said the U.S. Southern Command in a statement released just yesterday, that's on Sunday. Now, the statement also followed an earlier U.S. Navy announcement on Tuesday that the carrier strike group had in fact arrived in the Caribbean Sea, though it did not specify its very precise location. In a reversal from his previous position, U.S. President Donald Trump has called on House Republicans to now vote to release the Epstein files. That's correct, viewers. Trump wrote on Truth Social, and I'm quoting him here, House Republicans should vote to release the Epstein files because we have nothing to hide. Those are Trump's words for you. The House, meanwhile, is expected to hold a vote this very week on a legislation that would force the Justice Department to release all the files to the public. U.S. President Donald Trump has ended ties publicly with key ally Marjorie Taylor Greene. The dismissal of Greene seems to be the final break in a dispute that has gone on for months together, given her moderated political profile. That's correct. Now, the Congresswoman, who was once a strong MAGA supporter and in fact also wore a red cap to support Trump at Joe Biden's 2024 State of the Union address. However, recently Greene attacked the Republican leaders for the just-ended U.S. government shutdown. She also has condemned Trump for fighting to stop the release of the Epstein files. Here's more.
So, Marjorie Taylor Greene is not anyway, she is a very different thinking than I have. Something happened to her over the last period of a month or two where she changed, I think, politically. I think that her constituents aren't going to be happy already.
America's Federal Aviation Administration, or the FAA, has said it is lifting restrictions on commercial flights imposed at 40 major U.S. airports till now. This was due to the federal shutdown, viewers, the longest in America's history thus far, just by the way. Airlines can now resume their commercial flight schedules starting Monday, that's today. The FAA said on Friday that airlines will only have to cancel 3% of their flights. Now, these cancellations peaked last Sunday at almost 3,000 flights only on one day. The rollback comes after improved staffing levels after the longest U.S. government shutdown in history, as I was just, in fact, pointing out. U.S. President Donald Trump said on Sunday that he plans to meet the new NYC mayor, Zohran Mamdani, to quote-unquote work something out, in Trump's words. Now, this major rollback, viewers, comes after months of bashing Mamdani, jostling with Mamdani, and even falsely labeling him as a communist and predicting the ruin of New York if the Democratic Socialist was elected. But that has come to pass. In Mamdani's victory speech, he said he wanted NYC to show the country how to defeat the president. However, the day after Mamdani admitted he was willing to work with anyone, including Trump, for a better New York. Here's more.
Mayor of New York, I will say, would like to meet with us and we'll work something out. But he would like to come to Washington and meet, and we'll work something out. We want to see everything work out well for New York.
Over in Mexico, President Claudia Sheinbaum has condemned the violence that erupted during Gen Z-led protests in the capital over crime, corruption and impunity of that. The president accused the right-wing parties of trying to infiltrate the Gen Z movement and using social media to increase their own attendance. During the demonstration, protesters attacked police with stones, fireworks, sticks and even chains, grabbing police shields and other equipment. He was a Mega Million player in Georgia, won a whopping $980 million jackpot, overcoming odds to win the huge prize. Now, these numbers selected were 1, 8, 12 and 57 with the gold Mega Ball 7. The winner overcame Mega Millions' astronomical odds of 1 in 290.5 million by matching all of these numbers. Now, for the next drawing on Tuesday, the winner could choose annuity or cash option of $452.2 million before taxes. Although there were 4 Mega Million jackpot wins earlier this year as well, Friday's drawing was the 40th since the last win on the 27th of June. Over in the Middle East, Lebanon's President Joseph Aoun has asked the foreign minister to file a complaint against Israel for building a wall in Lebanese territory. That's correct. The complaint requires a statement from the United Nations peacekeeping force as well. The force requested the wall's removal, stating the violation of UN Security Council resolution. Now, the wall in question crossed the borderline, rendering more than 4,000 square meters of alleged Lebanese territory useless. Chile's election officials have begun counting the votes that will, in fact, give the nation a new president and a new parliament as well. The contest is expected to favor the hard right as candidates are acting on popular fears over organized crime and immigration in the country. It is the first of what is likely to be 2 rounds of presidential election, as polls show none of the candidates clearing the 50% required threshold. Now, the possible runoff is scheduled for the 14th of December. Chile's centre-left government candidate Jeanette Jara has vowed on Sunday to fight in the December 14th runoff. The 51-year-old communist former Labour minister has claimed over 26% of valid ballots, with over 80% of votes counted. Meanwhile, the 59-year-old heartfelt devout Catholic opposed the same-sex marriage and abortion captured more than 24% of the entire votes that were polled. Over in the Middle East, viewers, Iran's Foreign Minister Abbas Araghchi on Sunday said that Tehran is no longer enriching uranium at any of the sites across the country. Now, this very importantly marks the most direct response yet from the Iranian government regarding its nuclear program. This, of course, comes following the bombing of its enrichment sites by US and Israel. Listen in.
There is no undeclared nuclear or enrichment facility in Iran. All of our facilities are under the safeguard and monitoring of the agency. There is no enrichment right now because our enrichment facilities have been attacked. And our message is clear. Iran's right for enrichment, for peaceful use of nuclear technology, including enrichment, is undeniable. We have this right, and we continue to exercise that. And we hope that the international community, including the United States, recognize our rights and understand that this is an inalienable right of Iran, and we would never give up our rights.
In Southeast Asia, viewers, China has issued a reminder urging Chinese tourists to avoid traveling to neighboring Japan. Now, Chinese tourists currently in Japan have also been advised to closely monitor the local security situation, heighten awareness of safety precautions, and also strengthen self-protection measures. Why has this notice been shared? Well, it comes after a warning issued on Friday by Beijing. The warning was issued following remarks made by Japanese Prime Minister Sanae Takaichi regarding Taiwan. China's first amphibious assault ship, the Sichuan, has completed its first navigation test mission on Sunday. The People's Liberation Army, or the PLA Navy ship Sichuan, has a full load displacement of over a whopping 40,000 tons. Being a new generation Navy ship, the vessel also consists of electromagnetic catapult technologies, enabling it to carry aircrafts, helicopters, and also amphibious equipment. A volcano on the Sakurajima in southwestern Japan erupted on Sunday, spewing clouds of smoke and ash into the air. The crater spewed smoke and ash thousands of meters into the air. Now, this marks the very first eruption from the crater since last year in October. Authorities, meanwhile, have issued an ashfall alert for the surrounding areas. Now, the mountain is on one of Japan's most active volcanoes. Over in the US, firefighters in southeastern Texas battled a blaze on Sunday at a decommissioned power plant. Now, this decommissioned power plant erupted in flames in the Texas city with 50 to 60 firefighters at the scene together. All 5 cooling towers at the power plant, which was decommissioned in the 1990s, had burned and collapsed. No casualties have been reported. Meanwhile, people nearby have been advised to stay indoors or leave the area when encountered by smoke. The cause of fire is still under investigation, being ascertained. It's time we step into a short break. Lots more lined up, needless to say. On the other side, don't you go anywhere. Welcome back, viewers. We now shift our focus to New Delhi, where fashion took a techno turn at designer duo Falguni Shane Peacock's latest show. That's correct. In fact, actors Tamanna Bhatia and Shahid Kapoor also sizzled the ramp alongside robodogs and humanoids, believe you me. My colleague Mayank, meanwhile, brings us all the action. Take a look.
High fashion meets technology like never before. Designer duo Falguni Shane Peacock brought the house down at the Blenders Pride Fashion Tour with FDCI. Humanoids to robodogs to the gorgeous Tamanna Bhatia opening and heartthrob Shahid Kapoor closing the show.
I think Falguni and Shane have always been all about the future, and when I knew that this was the concept for the fashion show this time, and I saw the outfit that I was supposed to wear, I was like, this is it. I don't think there could be a more precise representation of that, and to be honest, I love the fact that they always make these things that are futuristic but also comfortable, and I really enjoyed myself walking on the ramp, so it was one of my most memorable.
If you had to pick one role from the perspective of fashion and costume that is closest to you, which one would that be?
From my films?
Yes.
Tommy Singh.
Okay.
Because he can wear anything.
What is fitness to you? Like, tell me about that. What's your fitness routine?
Well, you have to be fit inside out. You know, as you grow older and you live more of life, of course, we've all been in our 20s where we do whatever it takes just to look good on the outside. But I think today we're in a time where longevity is very, very important, and you have to be natural. You have to see what's healthy for you, not just look good for the cameras. That's not healthy beyond a point. So with time, I've come to respect the fact that true health is within. Also, I think mental health is very, very important.
Yeah. I think that, the human touch is going to be very, very necessary, and there has to be a balance between AI and, humans. And I think if we take the best out of it, out of AI, we can do so much, So I think as of now, we should look at that.
So striking a balance between both.
Striking a balance is what is needed.
And how was it working with these guys? Better than models?
They were amazing. It was a great experience.
It was an experience, yeah.
But models are amazing, and they just make the clothes look so good.
I don't think they can replace models.
A night celebrating fashion with technology and science like never before. Truly, Indian fashion is touching new heights and giving new meaning to what is the future of fashion. Falguni and Shane also discussing, can AI ever take over the human aspect that is there in fashion? Mayank Chaudhary for NDTV.